I'm Jonny Smith.
I'm Richard Porter.
And this is Smith & Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things. Pope Francis, no longer with us. It sent me down this huge Pope spec car hole the other day.
Right.
And I mean, look, I don't take a great deal of notice about the Pope, but I know that there's been many Popemobiles over the years.
Yes.
But did you know that Pope Francis was the one that was asking Mercedes for an electric Popemobile for quite some time?
I did not know that.
He really wanted an EV Popemobile, and they obliged. They were like, yeah. And so at the back end of last year, again, I did not know this, at the back end of last year, they gave him a Popemobile. I'm just going to bring up the details because it was more interesting than I was expecting. So we all know that the Pope's had, he's been gifted Lamborghinis and Ferraris and things, and I think Pope Francis usually signs them and then auctions them off. Auctions them off. Haven't seen any of them on piston heads yet, but you never know. They might come.
No, not yet.
But yeah. So the Mercedes built this electric Popemobile, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a very oddly proportioned thing, like most of them are. They had to do a huge amount of adaptations to it. So the bench seat was at the back was replaced with a central positioned, high adjustable single seat. A swivelling main seat makes it possible to move around. I just loved it.
And do Pope stuff.
Yes, the press release that Mercedes released on it was they're trying to be so descriptive of a vehicle that no one will ever really travel in.
No.
This swivelling main seat makes it possible to move around flexibly and address an audience from different angles behind the single seat. Two single seats have been integrated on the left and right for additional passengers. The roof was removed at the B-pillar, and the B-pillar itself was harmoniously transitioned into the sidewall to create an unmistakable side profile. In case of rain or bad weather, though, a separate hardtop offers protection for the occupants. You're saying it like you don't know who they're going to be.
Yeah.
The left rear door...
Why do they just put that provides rain protection for the Pope?
Yes.
Because that's who's in there.
And the Pope's helpers. The left rear door was removed and rebuilt by the specialists in traditional coach building style from a single piece and seamlessly welded onto the body shell. On the right-hand side, the hinges of the rear door were relocated to the opposite side. So it's got a suicide single back door. And it's like all previous Popemobiles, this vehicle is painted in classic pearl white on the outside. Classic pearl white.
Classic pearl.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, they're cool. I like the Pope, but I didn't realise quite how many Popemobiles have been Mercedes-Benz. It turns out a lot. But,
is this because of that German Pope from a few years ago?
That German Pope.
I've lost track of popes. A pope's a bit like Doctor Who's and James Bond's. The one that sticks in your mind is the one that was incumbent when you were a child.
Yes, that's right.
So for me, it's John Paul II.
John Paul II, yeah.
John Paul Mark II.
JP2.
Because he was the Pope when I were a lad. And then I've sort of lost track of who was Pope after that. But,
yeah.
Now, I've realised as you were talking about this that it feels like this is almost our destiny to follow up the Eagle Quest limo with a Popemobile.
Well.
And I just typed in Popemobile for sale, and about 9 years ago, there was in fact a Popemobile. It's a Mercedes M-Class with a massive, basically like a sort of distorted phone box on the back.
Is it an ML? It's an ML, is it?
Yeah, it's an ML. So it was for sale. It's got my back wheels on it though. I mean, this was a while ago.
Yeah,
but it was a 5-litre V8.
It has to be. It needs to be.
It was for sale in Ireland.
Really?
And yeah.
Because I thought Mercedes-Benz kept them all when they were all decommissioned.
Yes, I thought so. Because apart from anything else, it's sort of almost like the same as presidential limos or prime ministerial cars or whatever. They don't necessarily want them getting out because then a bad person could work out how it's armoured. But I suppose if the technology moves on, that's less critical. Also, I noticed this ML Popemobile has got open sides, so it's got sort of half glass.
Oh,
so it's not very bulletproof, really. The surprising thing is that it was for sale in 2016 for €5,750.
Is that all?
I know, it's a bargain, isn't it?
Damn, why weren't we buying it then?
I don't know. It only got 13,000 kilometres on it, and this news article about it. Is this a joke? I'm starting to think this is a joke. It's not 1st of April, it was on the story, but the seller apparently described it as absolute heaven to drive. Never gave an ounce of trouble. I've been absolutely blessed with it.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
I must confess, it's losing a little water. It always seems to be topped up for some reason. It's a sin to sell it at all.
Oh, come on.
This sounds like somebody taking the piss.
Come on.
But I don't know. I wonder if anyone has. I'd love a Popemobile just for the
I would love a
novelty of
Popemobile.
it.
So I've just looked it up. The first vehicle of of the Mercedes-Benz was a Nürburgring 460 Pullman for Pope Pius from 1930. At the time, Mercedes-Benz was awarded the delivery contract due to a harmonious overall package, and perhaps the team at the time transferred an important characteristic of previous carriages to the vehicle, the possibility of travelling with 2 dignitaries and other staff using folding seats. In the 1960s, John XX111 received a 300 Laundelette with an automatic transmission and extended wheelbase. His successor, Paul V1, initially used a 600 Pullman Laundelette and later a 300 SEL, also a Laundelette. In the 1980s, John Paul II used the first vehicle officially called the Popemobile for events in St. Peter's Square, a modified 460 Series G model. From 2002, he used a 463 Series, a G500, which was also used by his successors, Benedict and Francis. There we go. So, some serious G-wagoning going on by the popes.
Yeah. Not all Mercs, though. A few years ago, well, about almost 20 years ago, there was a Popemobile for sale in Scotland.
What?
It had been used by, in fact, I'm not going to say speak of the devil, but speak of the Pope.
Don't speak of the devil. Absolutely don't do that.
JP Mark II visited Britain in 1982, and he was transported around in... This is a Leyland Terrier lorry.
What?
Like, you know those Leyland trucks of the early 80s, that nice sort of soft oval-designed cab, the road train, and then there were some smaller ones. This is one of the smaller ones. This is like so it's a Terrier, apparently. But it's got this huge bespoke back on it. It's incredible. It looks like something that would be used on a moon base in an 80s space drama. It's a 6-wheeler. And it was in the Albion Museum in Scotland. And then that closed down. So in 2006, I think, it was auctioned, and it sold for £37,000.
Hang on, but then you couldn't sell an ML for €5,500?
I feel like there were lots of those MLs, though.
Yeah.
But I wonder. So the Leyland lorry it's a British truck, and it's right-hand drive and on British plates. So it was obviously built for the visit. But then I suppose the Pope doesn't take the Popemobiles with him. Are they locally sourced, and then he buggers off and leaves them behind? I don't really know how it works. So the one in Dublin was like from a visit to Ireland, and then he just went, right, I'm done with that. Deal with it.
We've been a bit funny about MLs in the past, and I actually forgot. I did a barn find a while back. The really quite quite physically demanding one of the Mini Cooper in North Wales. And it reminded me of the chap that owned that car, Dave, was a massive ML protectionist. He loved his ML. He said it's better than any other equivalent tow car that he's ever had. And he was very, very, very proud of it. And it was an early one as well. So it had like slightly, I think it had lost most of its lacquer on the paint, to be completely honest.
Of course.
But mechanically, it was on the job, and he was very proud of it. But I'm looking at this current Popemobile. There's an aerial shot of it on Mercedes' media site. It's decked out sort of like a luxurious speedboat, and there's railings that are white leather all the way around, and there's a railing at the back to get in and out with a platform like a boat where you'd step off the back and dive in, or I don't know, do some showboating backflips if you were a show off. With red carpets. I think it's got red carpets throughout as well. So with
red carpets?
Yeah, it's a pure white car, listeners. The interior is all white, and I mean totally white. Steering wheel, dash, everything. Wow. I wonder if they ever did that electric G-Wagon can do the tank turn thing.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if anyone's tank turned the Popemobile.
A Pope turn.
A Pope turn, yeah.
It's actually quite good, because he could just stand still and wave as the car slowly rotates. So the whole crowd gets a little bit of popey wave action without His Holiness having to move his body.
That's right.
That's quite useful, I suppose.
Pope action, I like that. It's like a pump action, but not
Pope
violent
action
at all.
Shotgun just fires incense at you.
It'd be a Pope action Shogun, surely, if he decided to defect the Mitsubishi brand. They just came out of nowhere and went, right, that's it, enough of this G-Wagon nonsense. Although, to be fair to Pope Francis, he did say many times he was not interested in having elaborate vehicles like previous popes had. So, and he was definitely down with the immense torque of the G-Wagon and the ability for it to creep very slowly, as electric cars can do.
Yes.
Without heavy breathing in the case of the V8 models that came before it.
I saw in the description of that Leyland lorry that it had a specially modified gearbox to enable it to creep.
Oh, I bet it did at
a suitably popey speed.
Did it have a Pope crawler gear? I bet it did.
Yes, it's like, what does P stand for? Isn't it supposed to be R? No. P for Pope.
P for Pope crawler. Yeah, well, anyway, so there we go. He died at the age of 88, and that is my favourite number. So, because I was...
Is it?
Yeah.
Because of Back to the Future?
Actually, not because of Back to the Future. That's actually a great reference. I hadn't even been intelligent enough to make the connection there. No, I really like the number 8, and 88 just looks better than 8, and I've always thought if I had a racing number or a death number, it would be 77 or 88, because I think they're my two favourites.
Okay.
So,
what about 888 Racing then?
Well, I might live to 888, but I don't think anybody wants that. So, should we just say
I was just wondering if you like them, because you said 88 is better than 8.
Oh, no, I do like 888 Racing. Yeah, I do.
38 is surely, that's, it's right up the street.
Thrice 8 Racing?
Thrice.
Sorry,
Talking
I've got a squeaky chair. I must apologise. It is a squeaky. I'm in my office today, which is why the acoustics might sound a little different, listeners.
Talking since we were about Mercedes, have you seen this Vision V concept they've announced last week, which is a sort of preview of the next V class? But
I think I saw a picture of it. Yeah, I was away all last week.
Got an absolutely gopping face on it.
Oh, gosh.
It's just terrible. Really piggy, horrible face.
What is it with Mercedes not being able to build handsome cars at the moment? In fact, what is it about the Germans?
Know.
The Germans can't build handsome cars. I mean, we won't delve into it too much because we talk about it regularly, but
Well, yeah, but it is a. I might be overreading this, but I just sort of feel, and so the big gimmick with the this Vision V is that the inside it's supposed to be sort of, super luxe transport for, I suppose, the super rich, and it's got two big recliner chairs and then a massive telly. It's like it's been done out by a Northern Lottery winner. It's just really sort of overdone, and the TV is genuinely sort of the whole. It's like a bulkhead, full-size bulkhead between the passenger compartment and the driver.
Like the BMW i7, that has a full,
even bigger,
stupid TV.
Even bigger. This is like floor-to-ceiling TV, basically. It's got a bit of a surround on it, but it's basically it's a wall.
It's so strange that this is happening. They're really just chasing the all-out tech, and at the cost of cars that will date well, and missing the simple
This is a concept. I don't know whether this will make it to the production sort of, if they do like a Maybach version of the V-Class or whatever, maybe it will. But that's the thing. It feels gimmicky in a way that it's just not. I don't know. It's not.
The Germans would have never done that 20 years ago.
No, and the design of the outside is just somehow unsatisfying, and in some cases actually unpleasant. And you just go, slightly feels like a company that's floundering a bit. And the same is true of VW. So it was the Shanghai car show opened last week, and various things revealed, but one of them was this trio of Volkswagen concepts previewing cars they're going to sell in China. And I thought it was just a depressing grab bag of extremely generic design, but it achieved the trick of being, all three cars being quite generic and yet not looking anything like each other in a way that suggested they were all from the same company.
Oh my gosh.
What are they doing here? What's the plan?
I think there is desperation.
Profoundly depressing.
No, I think there's desperation.
Yeah, it does seem desperate. There's one of them, and I can't remember what it's called now, these VWs, that did have a sort of slightly interesting feature, which is that the headlights were very sort of interesting, kind of almost shaped like knives, and they slanted downwards towards the VW badge in the centre, and then there was these kind of sculpting on the bonnet, and it's slightly somehow reminiscent of a Beatles bonnet.
Yeah,
in
but
an
not
abstract
not
sort
though,
of way.
is it? Because it isn't characterful.
But not, no. And it was the one bit of design on those cars I thought was quite interesting and didn't look just like every other generic Chinese EV at the moment. But the other ones, the saloon sort of it's not unpleasant looking. It's just not distinctive.
I think, dear Mercedes, dear BMW, dear Volkswagen, can you steal your German designers back from the Koreans and design some cool stuff again? Just look at what Hyundai are doing, please. Thank you.
Good. Well, speaking of BMW though, because we've mentioned before that BMW design has been through quite a few years now of being absolutely piss awful.
Apart from the I series, the current I series is not brilliant, but the OG I series is just wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
I still want an i8 and an i3.
I was suddenly caught out the other day by a new shape X1.
Yeah,
which and. It's not like it's a stunning piece of work, but it's a bit tidier than recent stuff from BMW. And it's sort of... I saw it. I've just been in the US for Easter, and it was in a sort of nice, soft evening light in California, and it was in a good colour.
Were you drunk again,
I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was driving at the time myself, but which I know sometimes in the US apparently is okay, or at least it seems to be if you watch American movies. Just the hard-bitten cop pounds like 6 glasses of scotch in a bar and then goes, right, I better go and drive to this crime. And you go, hang on a minute, aren't you in the police?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem to register as anything that's wrong in the US, in the movies anyway. I mean, obviously drink driving is bad. But, I saw this X1 and I actually did double take because I was a bit like, oh, because it's quite new, isn't it? And I hadn't really seen them around. And I was actually like, that's not a bad-looking car. But it's always caveated with, that's not bad looking for a modern BMW.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible thing to have to say. But yeah, it's actually, I was a bit like, okay, that's not disgusting. I can put up with that in a way that, sort of find, I don't know, the X4 absolutely disgusting.
I was jostling with one on the M5, not aggressively, as in like it was in one lane, I was in the other, and the traffic just kept slowing and speeding up, and I just kept seeing it a lot, and it really made me cross because it was just so fucking ugly and horrible.
It's just revolting.
I just don't want it in my eyes. So it just irritated me. It's so true. It's like, I just don't want it. Go away.
Now, well, since we're here talking about A, me going to America, and B, divisively styled cars, while I was away, I got to have a go in a Tesla Cybertruck. And it was, well, I sent you a picture, didn't I, of me looking like a prick standing next to the ultimate prick car.
You were in the Cybertruck.
So it's an interesting one because I don't like the idea of the Cybertruck. I think it's moronic in the way that it's been designed. I think it's a sort of a manifestation of Elon Musk's terrible, deranged ego, that he insisted that thing looked the way it does and insisted it was made out of stainless steel just because he's clearly working through some childhood issues that should be addressed by therapy. And he remembers watching Back to the Future. And it's a stupid material to make a car from. When you open the door, you can feel the sharpness of the panel.
Oh my!
It's not going to cut you, but it feels close. I didn't particularly like my children handling it, and the thought of them slamming a hand in the door felt unbearable. And because the panels they can't hem them the way they can with steel or aluminium, because I guess it's not ductile enough to do that. So it's a stupid material to make a car from. Also, the one I drove, which belonged to someone I vaguely know in California, who offered me a go in it. And he's had it for...
I was giggling when I saw you stood next to it. I was thinking, oh gosh.
Yes.
Here we go.
Well, I was friendly with this guy because he just loves gadgets and he loves tech, and every gizmo that comes out, he's the only person I know who bought that Apple VR headset thing.
Really?
So he went out and bought a Cybertruck, and I didn't say this to him. He wasn't actually around. It was his partner was the one who said he really wants you to have a go at his Cybertruck. And I was like, does he? Why? I don't. He thinks you'll like it. And I was like, oh, that sounds like an insult.
But what if I don't?
What if I don't? Yeah, what am I going to say? Well, thank God he's out of town, so I won't have to speak to him personally and go, it's really... But I was reminded of a thing. I can't remember if it was The Onion or something else, that when the Cybertruck came out, they went, well, this is really useful because it'll make your area's biggest douchebag easier to spot. And that's sort of how I feel about it. I think it looks idiotic, and also it looks terrible on a sort of material level because the panels are kind of tarnishing at seemingly different rates. It just looks scruffy.
Oh,
because it's starting to weather, and he's had it. I don't know, a few months now.
There's also things like it shouldn't weather in a few months.
Well, it's just maybe some of it's dirt. I don't think so. I mean, it's Southern California. It doesn't really rain very much. It's not muddy like it is here. It's, I suppose, dusty, but it just looks shit. It just looks shit, and sort of amateurish because of the different wear rates of the panels, or the different sort of ways in which they pick up dirt and dust and things. And then I noticed also that light bar at the front, actually up close, you can sort of see hot spots where the actual light units are in it. So that looks kind of amateurish as well. It's not an attractive object. And the interior is fine. It's sort of Tesla-y. It's good. It felt superficially quite well made, but then on the move there were various sort of rattles and tizzes and things like that. So I'm not sure the quality is absolutely top notch, but fine. the problem for me is that I wanted to absolutely fucking hate it because I hate the principle of it, but to drive, it was actually really good.
Oh, okay.
That steer-by-wire with the four-wheel steering is genuinely really impressive. And I thought, because I know it's there, I know this is steer-by-wire, it's going to feel weird and artificial, and because it's variable ratio, essentially. It can, speed up and slow down depending on what you're doing. Well, that's just going to mess with your head. And it's incredible that it doesn't. It feels really normal. And at low speed, because it's four-wheel steering and it's counter-steering at the back to give you a tighter turning circle, you can turn it really tightly, and it makes it feel much smaller than it is, which is good. But then I took it on some actual sort of winding roads up beyond Pasadena, for people who know that part of the US, and you can really chuck it around. It's actually it's amusing to drive, and obviously it's got loads of grunt. This was the dual motor version. It's plenty quick. It also, I didn't have the stereo on, and you get quite a lot of motor whine, but it's not annoying. It actually makes it feel more sort of relatively like an internal combustion car, because you've got this sort of other thing going on. But yeah, the way that it drives, the ride's pretty decent. It's a bit firm, but it's all right. It was genuinely a quite an amusing thing to drive, but I just can't get past the fact that it makes you look like an absolute cock. Oh, and the visibility is terrible. It's got really bad blind spots.
Oh, really?
Because of how aggressively raked the screen is. Yeah, it actually sort of... Yeah. Where junctions sometimes are a bit of a crapshoot, because you're not entirely sure there's not, an F-150 hiding in a blind spot. If it was shaped that way for sheer practicality, you'd go, okay, well, at least it's got that going for it. It's when people take the piss out of really square cars like my Element, going, oh, it's a toaster. And actually, it's a really useful car that's celebrated the box. Yeah. Yeah,
but the triangle of the Cybertruck doesn't make any sense as a pickup truck. I think fundamentally for me, the thing that I immediately swooped in on when it was released was, but it's a pickup. Is it actually a good pickup? Because it seems to me the bed is compromised in such a way where it won't do normal pickup things very well. So therefore it's useless.
Definitely it's not a utility truck. I discovered that because it's basically a sales disaster, compared to their projections, certainly. They have slightly reconfigured the way they're now selling it on their website, as in where previously it was all sort of photographs of it in apocalyptic landscapes. They've now shifted to showing it doing trucky things with a bed full of breeze blocks and towing a caravan and stuff, I guess to try and show people that you can use it just like any other pickup truck. But you're right, it probably doesn't have the ultimate utility of an F-150 Lightning or something, because of its stupid design.
No, and the F-150 Lightning I know isn't doing so well in America, but having driven one, and although I'm not a pickup person, I'm not an American citizen, I just thought it was such a well thought through car. There were so many lovely nooks and crannies and helpful attributes to it that you'd go, I can see this really working. This is cool, but it doesn't look strangely different for the sake of just looking strangely different, which is what pisses me off about the.
But then I like, because I drove the F-150 Lightning and I really liked it. I thought it had real sort of personality and it had great utility as well.
Yeah,
but the range was not amazing on it, particularly if you were on the motorway, because it's just physics, isn't it? It's got a huge frontal area, and so it wasn't. And of course, because it doesn't have its own charging network, you're at the mercy of the absolutely shockingly shit public charging network certainly the bit of the US that I was in when I drove, which was California and
which was gash,
Arizona. But the Cybertruck, obviously, the Tesla's network is better. Also, when I was given the key cards, I got in it and went, oh shite, it's got 14% battery left. I'm not going to be going for much of a drive. And I'd promised my kids we could go out in it for a bit, and then I wanted to go off on my own in it and take it for a proper drive. And the person who gave me the card went, oh, don't worry, that's fine. I'll get you as far as you need to go. And so I checked the range, and sure enough, the range was still showing sort of, I forget now, 60, 70 miles, something like that.
Really?
It's so, I think, probably, I mean, the battery's huge, isn't it? But even so, I think that, and based on my own experience, for all their failings, Tesla are very good at making electric cars because it's all they've ever done. So yeah, the Cybertruck was an interesting experience. I think it is actually very nice to drive, and some of the engineering underneath is very impressive. But so it would be a lot better if they hadn't been forced to make it out of a stupid material and make it look so completely stupid.
So if you bought one that a tree had partially fallen on and you cut most of the body off and made a sort of very Australian-looking tray-back type thing with it,
yes,
it might be okay?
I think it'd be terrific because you'd just get all the good bits then. And people wouldn't know it was a Cybertruck anymore, because there's another thing. Certainly in the US, Elon Musk is, as I guess people know, an extremely divisive figure for his involvement in the current administration. And there is a backlash. There's a Tesla earnings call last week, and the company is absolutely tanking by all accounts because people don't like what Musk is up to. I won't get bogged down in that, but I'll tell you one thing that happened to me while I was driving the Cybertruck. Well, two things, one of which I can say with certainty, one of which I'm pretty certain, and that is people gave me the finger. And the first time it happened, I was in the car with the kids and my wife.
Yes.
And we were just on an open, clear stretch of road near Pasadena, which is quite a shishy part of the greater Los Angeles area.
Yes.
It definitely wasn't my driving because we're on a wide road. It wasn't anywhere near him. And I caught him out and went, I think that guy just gave us the finger.
That's brilliant.
And my wife went, he probably did. Because we've been chatting about how, the Cybertruck is just fundamentally it's a twatty design.
Yeah.
And it's so inexorably associated with that sort of obnoxious tech bro culture. It's a Joe Rogan enthusiast car. And I personally find that uncomfortable. But then I dropped the kids and my wife off back where we're staying. I was like, I'm just going to go up, take it up in the hills and see what it's like. And I'm absolutely certain that a guy in a Mazda CX, not CX-5, a CX-780, I think, or maybe. I was so decided. He had his window down and he put his hand out of the window and gave me the finger. As I drove by. And again, it wasn't because of anything I'd done driving-wise. It was because I was in the Cybertruck.
Were you wearing a Smith & Sniff cap or T-shirt?
I was, yes.
Okay, right.
Yeah, maybe they were both listeners.
It might be that they were more offended because you're a listener to this appalling audio package. But do you know what? Do you know what I think could be a little bit more irritating / badly designed than a Tesla Cybertruck?
What's that?
It is, Richard, the conveyor belt toaster that you get in small hotels.
Oh yes.
That to this day I still don't understand why they exist. I don't know who signed them off. I don't know why they are where they are. I stay in a lot of Premier Inns, big up Purple Palace, and they have one there. And I think the Travel Lodges and Holiday Inns, all those guys, they've all got them. And it's similar to, I think, when you cremate people and the coffin goes in on a conveyor belt and then just gets blasted by flame. But the thing about the conveyor belt toaster hell that I can't bear is the fact that, once it's on, it's just on. So somebody comes down at 6 a.m. or 5:30 in at one of these hotels, one of the staff members, and turns it on. I reckon it's using enough power to successfully charge a Cybertruck in 4 hours. Okay? And the other thing is, it doesn't seem to have any understandable controllability to its toasting.
Oh, yeah.
And I watch people putting slice after slice after slice in and just getting completely different results. And most of the time, each one is ending up in the bin or just on the side.
I haven't used one of those for a while, but my experience of them is that you put the slice in and it comes out and it's still basically damp and tepid and not fulfilling a legal definition of toast. So you put it in again and it comes out as a lump of coal.
Yes.
And it's almost like the machine has a sense of humour and it's just fucking with you.
Or it's almost a combination of the two. It's a bit like going for a swim in the British Sea. Okay, and you get out and you're shivering, you're wet, and you're bloody freezing. But somebody then says, hey, can you hold on to this for a minute? And you turn around and they put a hot piece of glowing coal in your palm of your hand. And then you clench it for about a second and then you throw it away, yelping. So what you've just done is you are cold and you are wet, but you've really badly burnt a small part of your body. That's what happens to the toast in these conveyor belt toasters. But whilst using an enormous amount of electricity. Why aren't these on sensors? You know, like modern escalators where they stop when there's no one on them. Because they go, well, what's the point in moving? There's no one on us. Bloody waste of time that is. Why aren't these toasters doing that, for starters?
I mean, they definitely not have that.
Not the ones I've seen. They just keep going like a model bulldozer. They just keep going, that conveyor belt, the caterpillar tracks inside, which have just got charred bits of bread death in them. It just keeps going.
I presume this is all for efficiency, isn't it? Because if you had a trad pop-up toaster, then you'd get a sort of logjam of people. You
might get a couple of blokes who just they're 6 slices in the morning, guys, and they both want them at the same time. However, you could just put 3 normal toasters next to one another, 3 6 slices, and they'll use.
But that's probably a cost implication,
Maybe.
Isn't it? That's going to be pricey, particularly if you go sort of, you dual it or something like that.
Yeah, I want someone listening to this, because as we've said before, our listeners are intelligent, worldly people. Someone will know. I need a bit more of an explanation about who makes these bloody things. And also, while they're there, this is not relevant to the toaster, but I'm throwing it in there because I wrote it down because we've been away for a few weeks. You know that siren that you get in the pits of places like Goodwood? Because I was at Goodwood members meeting the other week and it was great. The ghost train funfair siren.
Yeah.
Now, I love that siren and I'd like to buy one. But the thing is when you don't know what something's called, how do you buy it?
Oh, it's an ungoogleable thing.
Yes, so I go, it's the siren that you use on a funfair ghost train. And it goes in the pits at Goodwood. And do you know what? We should just ask Goodwood. But anyway, I want to buy one of those sirens. I should just say Goodwood.
You know people at Goodwood.
What's the name of that
ask them.
bloody siren? I'd like to buy one, and I'd like to maybe wire it up as a horn on one of my cars just to cheer myself up now and again.
Oh, I was going to say, I wonder what you were going to do with it. Like, just have it go off as you drive into your driveway to warn anyone who might.
Oh, that would be
there,
cool.
So.
Well, a good burglar alarm. It'd be probably better than just.
Oh God, it'd scare the shit out of you, wouldn't it? If one went off in a house that you just broken into, you'd leg it
with an animatronic.
Because you'd assume that a Capri 3-litre S was about to run over you.
I would. Yeah, a brute Fabergé Capri would just come slithering in and take out your ankles. But actually, it would be an animatronic Freddy Krueger that would rise up from a chair and make you shit yourself. The other thing that's pissed me off while we're talking about bread again, I saw a packet of high-end sourdough that I bought recently.
Yes.
Do you know what it describes itself as? Hand-finished sourdough bread.
We've talked about this before, though, haven't we? About like handmade sandwiches.
Yes.
And you go, why? What is the sandwich robot on the blink again? What are you fucking on about? It's just yes, hand finished, but also hand finished sounds like wanking.
Well, it does. It does sound like someone's been strumming a loaf of bread, a cylinder of bread.
It's funny you say strumming because I know this is childish, but the word strumming for me is inexorably a wanking word. As in, even if you talk about guitars, I always think, strumming, really?
Yeah.
And by extension, the Fugees strumming.
Strumming his pain with my fingers. Was it?
Every time I hear that song, I go, I'm sorry, what? You were doing what?
Yeah, no one wants that. No one wants that.
Anyway. But I'd also, terribly the legendary musical artist Joe Strummer.
Oh, yes. Off of...
might as well be called Dave Tosser. It's never occurred to you before.
Bernard Wank. Yeah, they're all,
yes, exactly.
They're all in the same club, aren't they? Yeah, exactly. Well,
Nick Hanshande.
Well, while I was at off of the Goodwood, I took my kids to Goodwood, and they've never been to Goodwood before, so I thought I'd like to immerse them into this and see if they like it. So I go to a smaller event like the MM, and they really loved it. And whilst I was watching the Gordon Spice Trophy, which is one of my favourite ones. You've been a few times, so you know what it's about. But there's a Camaro in that race, which had such a guffy engine. It was so guffy, Rich. It was unbelievably guffy. And when it went past the start-finish straight on full chat, it was the one car which made me have to go and find a pack of those foam earplugs, because it genuinely it was ear piercing but very deep, quite strange. Yeah. It sounded like a hunting horn full of Bisto. Someone coming up behind you, like a practical joker, and blowing it right behind you when you weren't expecting it. It was so deafening. It was amazing, but great racing, guys. Great racing. And on the way back from that, I stumbled across something even more exciting than Goodwood MM.
Yeah.
I passed a Citroen van on the motorway from a bloke who ran an electrical company called Thomas Wilson. That's the name of the company on the van. But the number plate, T50 WEE, WEE. And I'd just been at Goodwood watching this procession of Gordon Murray T50s doing their thing, and Dario Franchitti doing his thing in the GTR version. And there I am. I'm driving home, seeing I think it was a Citroen Berlingo van with actual T50 WEE on the number plate, thinking that's what an amazing number plate if you were to own an actual T50, which I don't. But I think we know of two people who might have T50s between us.
Do we?
I think we do. Yeah. We'll compare notes later.
Well, yes. I'm trying to think. I know one person. Anyway, was it a strangely pretentious conversation? Or what's the word? I don't know.
Is it wanky?
A weird name drop.
Bit wanky?
It might be, yeah. Let's move on. Talking... I was going to go back. Sorry, I won't wang on about it. But actually, talk about taking your kids to things. And actually, this is going to sound boastful as well. But I took my children to Disneyland because we were in America seeing my wife's family, and we were like, "Well, we're sort of in the area. We've never taken our children to Disneyland. They're of an age where they can really enjoy it now. Let's remortgage the house in order to be able to afford some tickets to Disneyland because it's."
Incredibly expensive.
It's not just the ticket. It's once you're there.
Oh my gosh!
Everything is reassuringly expensive to the point where it's sort of. Although I started off by going, "How is Disney not the most profitable company in the world based on this?" But then you look at Disneyland and how well it's done, and I think they've spent some money on it recently, or so I was told, because it's looking, pretty spiffy, and they've got some new stuff. Also, they've modified some existing stuff.
Oh yeah, they had the sills patched up for the MOT, and
but then they had a proper paint job, like a full shell respray done on it.
Windows out.
They didn't just windows out. They didn't just sort of have a little blowover and hope it'd blend, because it never does. No. And so the place is looking pretty sharp. And so one of the things that hasn't actually been refurbished, but apparently is due to be redone this year or next, is there's a thing called Autopia, which is little 2-seat cars that anyone over a certain height can drive. And my kids were eligible to drive them. And it's just a throttle pedal that you mash to the floor. And as soon as you release it, the car comes to a halt.
Yes.
And a big steering wheel. But the track is this sort of concrete 2-lane track, and each lane has a central concrete spine down it, and the car cannot deviate beyond that. So you have to steer a bit, but if you don't, it clips the undercarriage of the car, clips the central bit to keep it on track, so it'll never veer out of control.
I see.
And then the cars have massive, almost like sort of federal spec bumpers, but they're on hydraulics. You know, you're not supposed to bump the car in front, but if you did, there's a lot of stuff to take the sting out of the impact, so that, you know, your 7-year-old doesn't get whiplash.
That sounds great.
This whole thing, this whole Autopia ride is sponsored by Honda.
Okay.
And in fact, because I saw it, Honda, it's like there's nothing else at Disneyland, as far as I'm aware, is sponsored by another company. And then they've got an Asimo, I mean, I presume it's not a real Asimo, but they've got an Asimo just standing out in the undergrowth partway around the course. And this little sort of
having a country piss.
kind of... It doesn't look... He's... I was hoping that when you went back round, you'd have noticed he'd fallen over in classic Asimo style, but no. But the main reason is because I looked again, and some of the signs don't just say sponsored by Honda; they say powered by Honda. Now, these little cars are running little one-cylinder engines.
Oh,
they're petrol powered.
Petrol.
Yeah. Now, apparently, this ride is going to be refurbed in the near future, and that it's going electric.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a massive queue for this, and my kids loved it so much, which is really heartening. I was like, how taken they were with driving, that they wanted to go on it again. It's the only ride the whole day that we went on twice. And the second time, I was standing there queuing up to go down. You sort of queue up on a bridge, so it's almost like a station platform arrangement, and then you go down some steps onto the platform, and that allows you to get into the cars. And these little engines are just puttering away. The air is thick with fumes. And I was like, the employees on this, surely they can't make someone work this for more than about 20 minutes before they have to go and have a break, because they'd be lightheaded.
Yeah.
It's really fumey. And these cars are just running. At one point, because we came back round and there was a queue to get back into the station to get out, so we sat there and our car switched itself off. And then, without us touching anything, it seemed to switch itself back on. So there must be some system.
Auto start stop.
Yeah, but that's the thing. How did it switch itself back on unless it's got sensors and the car moves out of the way? Now, these cars, they've got really kind of like 70s looking fiberglass bodies on them.
Oh, I want to see these.
You'd love them, actually. But apparently they were last refurbed around the turn of the century. And they had some new bodies made, but they were clearly this ride was started, you know, way back in the infancy of Disneyland in the 60s, I think. So it's been updated a few times, and the Honda engines are quite a recent addition. But I was thinking about it, going, if you were Honda, would you go, yeah, I definitely want my brand to be associated with this incredible stench of single-cylinder puttery,
are they just
lawnmower engines?
Are they just lawnmower engines? They must be.
Yes, they are. I looked this up afterwards.
Of course you did.
And of course I did. And they are, yeah, they're I think the lawnmower, I can't remember the code name of it, but it's a generic Honda single-cylinder 4-stroke that is, you know, used for like water pumps and things as well. I also don't know how do they run out of petrol? You know, if they don't have fuel gauges, I could see. It must be maybe the employees have a little cheeky look under the engine cover every so often. If it's running low, or if they just run them for a certain amount of time, and then it's like, because you can see they've got spare cars lined up, but there are also dozens of cars going around this track at any time. So it's a big operation, but also a really stinky, noisy operation. It's quite incongruous.
Honda, look, Honda, I've got a few of your cars. Can we acquire one when it's decommissioned off of Disneyland? Or could Richard and I maybe help to switch the cars over from piston to EV when you do the big refurb? That would be great.
Yeah.
I'd bloody love to do that.
Well, I wonder whether Honda are going to continue sponsoring it when it goes EV, because they're also moving, you know, they've got their next generation EVs coming along. So it sort of makes sense. But again, I don't know what the deal is.
But Honda
have
can
to supply the hardware.
Honda can go one of two ways. They'd either go really slapdash and sort of phone it in, or they'd go, right, we're going to make V6s in these next cars, but they're going to be 60cc V6s. And they're going to be so clean running and quiet that no one would actually know that they are V6s, but they are V6s. And they'll make this like Swiss watch detailed one-off design engine that's only for Disney World children's cars. And I would absolutely love them to do that. Unless you go on their website and that you go 14 layers into the website where you can find, you could actually order a crate one if you wanted. It's just they didn't think anyone would want it. I want them to do that. Please, Honda, do that. You're so good when you do that. My Honda got serviced. I took my my Insight to be serviced at Honda the other week, and I parked it next to old Ayrton Senna's. I think it's got 2 apostrophes. NSX, the red one that they've got on the Heritage fleet.
I didn't know that Ayrton Senna had any relationship with the Honda NSX because nobody mentions it.
No, it's so sad. It always gets overlooked. It really does. But yeah, I looked inside. There were no slip-ons. I was really pissed off.
Really? They haven't glued them to the pedals for posterity.
I think they should, and they could be adjustable for different feet. They open.
Well, yes, it has to be. Maybe they're working on it. The adjustment mechanism.
I'd really like that. The other thing that happened at Goodwood is, of course, lots of people always say you must check the car park because you just should. Yes. Helen Wakely, listener of this podcast, Helen's great on her social media.
I was going to say, I feel like Helen coined always check the car park.
She's great at this, really good, and makes me actually have a huge amount of FOMO, even though I went to the show but didn't see that car in the car park. The number of times I've been to Bicester Heritage, and then she's posted something and gone, always check the car park, and I've gone, flipping hell, I must have been like 20 metres from that and didn't see it. What an absolute flute I am. But I was counting as I was parking up the car and walking in with the kids one morning. I was counting the Panama hats. And it made me realise, that Tesla design of, is it Sentry mode?
Yes.
Which I think is a fantastic piece of Tesla software, hardware, call it what you want. I really think it works so well with the CCTV on all 4 corners. So, with the dawning of cameras being tiny, discreet, for classic cars, could we not invent the Panama hat cam? For classic vehicles that may attend things like Goodwood, you simply, like your Ring doorbell, you buy your Panama hat, you plonk it on the parcel shelf or on the dash top when the car is parked. But it's actually got 4 cameras in it, or a 360 camera. And if anyone gets anywhere near the car, it just starts recording sound and vision. So if somebody walks past your car and says, that looks shit, you can take a screen grab of their face and you can hunt them down.
But could you then also wear the hat so that it could be like those Ray-Ban glasses that have got cameras in them?
Oh, you could do what, like a track day Panama hat cam, POV?
Well, exactly. But if it's got 4-way cameras, you could sort of do like a 360 cam thing if you could get the software to stitch the shots together.
It's Panama POV. You've just invented it.
Yeah. POV. The P stands for Panama.
Yeah, it's Panama
POV.
of view.
Yes.
I think that's a brilliant. I was going to say you can't call it the Panama POV because nobody wears a Panama hat who's poverty stricken because it's just not a thing, is it?
No.
So I really want the Panama hat security mode. I think we could do this. I think we could make a prototype, and I'm quite happy to road test that. I think that would be fantastic.
Oh, good. Yeah, let me know when it's finished, and we'll take it for a drive.
Yeah, we will. I
don't think it needs to spin, but yeah. Okay. I wanted to read out a message that we had from a listener called Will in the last Autosots. A listener was inspired by us talking about the horn being jammed on in a car. To share the tale of their horn issues and the doorbell button and everything. But Will has an actual horn being stuck on story.
Oh,
which was told to him apparently by his old science teacher 20 years ago. This teacher was driving his family through northern France in the middle of the night. They stopped so he could grab a coffee and then carried on. A few miles later, the family had fallen asleep, so he thought he'd have some of his coffee. It was still too hot to drink, so to avoid waking anyone up, he tried to take the lid off himself. Unfortunately, while trying to do this and keep a hand on the wheel at French motorway speeds, he managed to spill half the coffee into the steering wheel.
What?
Subsequently turning the horn on permanently.
Oh no, because it arced out.
I guess so, yeah. It doesn't say what car it is, but that's pretty amazing. So, having now woken up his family, he drove another few kilometres to the next service station where his arrival with the horn permanently on woke up everyone who was trying to get some kip in their cars or camper vans. They were not happy.
No.
Turning the engine off didn't help either. So he had to get out the instruction manual and pull the fuse.
Oh my gosh.
I love the idea of trying to make calm progress through the night and spilling coffee into the steering wheel. That's fantastic. Another listener called Sam, it's not quite the horn being jammed on, but he says, when I was in primary school, my mother drove a green Fiat Uno. On more than one occasion when being picked up from school, I heard the sound of a two-tone car alarm approaching the school gates, and then had every single pair of eyes in the school on me.
Oh my gosh.
As I realised it was my mother's green Fiat. This would then continue all the way home until the car was angrily delivered to the garage at the end of the road yet again. If I recall correctly, the electrics of the car alarm had a tendency to interfere with the electrics of the separate immobiliser. So when disabling the immobiliser to start the engine, it would cause the alarm to go off, and there's no way of shutting it up.
That's awful. Awful.
It's being picked up from school. Oh, your mum's coming again. Yeah, I know.
That's awful.
It's just, yeah, things that childhood memories are made of. One final listener letter that's a stitch back to something else we've mentioned was, you were asking the other week, why don't Toyota or Lexus make a Range Rover?
Yes.
Listener Tom says, in the latest pod you spoke at length about why Toyota and Lexus have never made a Range Rover, yet you don't mention the latest Infiniti QX, which is based on the Nissan Patrol, which was launched in 2010. At the time, I was editor of the Middle East edition of Car Magazine, and our publisher had signed a deal with Nissan to produce a book for customers to commemorate the launch of the new Patrol, which is revered by owners in the region. As part of the deal, me and a photographer got sent to Japan for 5 days to get inside info on the car, and the brand new factory had been commissioned to build it. We spent some time in the design studio and interviewed a bunch of execs. No sign of large flight cases in Carlos Ghosn's office, sadly. During a bit of downtime between interviews at the design studio, we were ushered to an area to have coffee, which overlooked a facility car park. Among the raft of immaculate Nissans, there was a Range Rover and a Maybach 57. Upon pressing our studio minders as to why these vehicles were there, we were told they'd been bought by the senior design team as sample vehicles to inspire them when penning the new Patrol and Infiniti QX.
Oh.
The new Patrol had been designed from the ground up to appeal to a well-heeled Middle Eastern customer. The design studio had a small photo on display next to its styling book, which showed an Emirati family with supporting caption saying the car needed to appeal to a man who would want to take his wife, many children and their nanny on long journeys. While the Patrol and QX aren't quite Range Rovers, they do have a certain cachet amongst the local audience in the Middle East, where it's driven by everyone from sheikhs to young dudes, mums on school runs and lunatics in the desert. So it seems Nissan got there before Toyota in creating a Range Rover that's actually reliable.
I want to drive one of these.
Well, it's funny you asked that, Jonathan. I've just had 2 weeks in America driving around in an Infiniti QX80.
Oh.
It's interesting because although I'd watched a video about it, I felt like I hadn't fully appreciated what it is, which is that it is a Nissan Patrol underneath, so it's a separate chassis.
Yeah.
So although it is, in terms of its sort of aspirations, is quite Range Rover-y, the new one looks a little Range Rover inspired. The proportions and everything have changed and they're much more Range Rover-y. To drive, it is still surprisingly trucky and surprisingly not like a Range Rover. It does that separate chassis thing, it kind of meanders a bit in a straight line.
It's a bit like when you jump up and down quite aggressively and you've got love handles, like me.
Yeah.
And if you really focus your mind, you know that they're moving independent of the rest of the body. They just are.
Yes.
It's sad, but it's true.
I sometimes feel that about my moobs as well.
Yes.
I'm suddenly conscious that they're moving about.
Moving.
And you just have a fleeting sensation of what it'd be like to have actual breasts. But that's always the bras were invented. And so, it's a bit like that. It's just, it is probably as good as separate chassis trucky things are these days, but it is still... There's that slight sensation of it being like a sort of house-trained bear. It's still a bear.
I know exactly what you mean.
The steering is very, obviously, I'm assuming it's rack and pinion. It feels like it is. It's not. So it's not got that kind of vagueness of an old kind of recirculating ball or worm and roller, proper old.
Don't you call me a recirculating ball, mate? I'll have you buried for that.
Well, it's recirculating ball bag, but yeah, so it's an interesting car, and it's massive. It's absolutely massive. But the one that I borrowed is like the top of the range one that's called the Autograph, and so it's got two separate seats in the back that do big recline and have massage functions.
Private
stuff
plane
like that. My kids thought it was the best thing ever. Yeah, and then it's got a row of 3 seats in the boot, so. We managed to get 6 people in it at one point, and there's space. Or with the rear seats folded down, the boot's massive, so we sort of had everything for a big road trip around the western US. It was perfect for that. But as a cruiser on the motorway, because it's got that sort of separate chassis, slight restlessness, you have got to sort of always be paying attention more than you probably would in, I don't know, a saloon car. But it's quite impressive. I could sort of see it's very American. I don't know. I guess the QX is only sold in the Middle East and the US or North America. Because apart from the scale of it, it just feels huge in a way that sort of it wouldn't fit here.
Yeah, and there's a few cars like that. Isn't there?
That's the thing. It's only the same as like you wouldn't particularly want to drive an F-150 of any sort around here, or I don't know, Dodge Ram.
Bring back the Delica. I say
yes.
I bring back the people carrier that also happens to be an all-terrainy thing, rather than SUV thing. So it has to be a box because it's a people carrier. That's what I want.
But. The other thing about this Infiniti that's a bit disappointing is apparently previous generations had V8s, but this has been downsized. So it's got a 3.5 litre V6
Turbo 6
with twin turbos. Yeah. It's I guess it's somehow related to all those other Nissan V6s that are in sort of were in various other Infinitis. And I assume it's the engine out of the current Nissan Z as well, which you've driven.
I have. I like the Z.
One thing it's got in common with that older Nissan V6 that was in the 350Z. Ding! There's this week's mention of the 350Z. It's a bit drony. It's some V6s are a bit.
Yeah. What, like being followed by a bee?
Insulated.
A bumblebee.
Yes, it's that. And you just go, I think the bee's gone away again. And then you need to get up a bit more of an incline. You put your foot down. It's smooth under normal running, but once you need a little bit more from it, it's just this kind of droning noise that's not especially good. And you kind of go, I wish this still had a V8, because it's quite thirsty.
I bet.
However you cut it.
I bet.
It's in the teens. I know those are US gallons. I didn't do the maths on converting it to our gallons, but yeah, it was doing sort of in the teens mile per gallon.
Well,
so
listen, look, guys, I just want to end with a tiny note from an listener called Esme. Mm-hmm. She said, I know this message will probably be lost in the wall of emails that you get, but I wanted to share a message and a quick question. My dad, Marcus, absolutely loves your show, and he listens to you every day going to and from work. He listens no matter what. Even if we go, wherever we go, he definitely has it on. She hasn't said whether or not she likes it. I don't think she does. He listens no matter what, wherever we go. He's definitely got it on. Safe to say, he's a massive fan. He's recently been a huge support. And as I'm about to do my GCSEs, I wanted to say thank you. It would mean a lot if it comes from you two as well. So I just wanted to say, okay, Marcus, thanks for listening on that side of things and being a great dad by the sounds of it. Your daughter is asking this question. I really like the Daihatsu Copen, and I would like one for my first car, but what other convertibles would you recommend for a first car, or just a first car in general? Have a nice day, Esme. Well, Esme, thanks for writing. I like the Copen. Someone else mentioned the Copen to me the other day. I can't remember what context, but I remember driving it when it was new and everyone took the piss out of it in the car magazine office, but I just always liked it. I thought it had a charm to it and an honesty to it. So I was down with it.
Well, there you go then.
Get a bloody Copen if you can afford the insurance. And if you can't, you're probably going to have to get an MX-5, get a Series 2 because they're cheaper than Series 1s. Or get a K car. I don't know if you... No, you probably can't insure a K car because it's a Japanese import.
Well, you get a Honda Beat. You can put it on classic insurance if you can keep it off the street.
Keep it off the streets.
Just saying. Well, that's fantastic. But yeah, I Copen or Mark III MR2. Give that a try. I don't know if you get insurance on those, but or a Honda CRX Del Sol. It's there's a whole
Derek Sol.
Derek Sol. Del Sol. Yeah. Oh, cut down the old Costa Derek Sol. Yeah. And thank you, Marcus, for being a good dad and for being a listener of this show. We should wrap things up, but I guess. Before we go, I have three things to tell you. The first one is that I'm still very jet lagged and I haven't thought of a stupid thing for promoting the Late Break Show. So let's just say the Late Break Show is out there.
I was amazingly lazy. I really appreciated that.
I forgot. And I had nothing in advance. So there we go. It's something involved.
Well, due to embargoes, a video went live as we were recording this. But by the time you listen to this, there'll be another video that's gone live, and it'll be a barn find, I think, and it will be a Golf GTI barn find in a real farmyard in a real barn with other cars near that barn. How many times can I say barn? And there's also a brand new, endorsed by Ford Mark I Escort race car that is a continuation that's very sexy, and I drove it on a track. I haven't driven a car on a track for ages, Rich. It was special for me.
Second thing I've got to tell you is I'm going to promote something different for a change. The new issue of The Road Rat is out, and I've got two articles in it. One about Mitsuoka, the Japanese, what do you call them? Car converters, modifiers,
coach builders.
Coach builders, often sort of seen as a sort of comedy pretend car company, but I'm sort of making the case in this article that they're more than that. So that's one of the things. Now, the other thing I've written about is AMC, the now defunct American car company, who I think were the sort of mavericks of the American car industry and did some amazing things before they sadly fizzled out. So go and seek out the new copy of The Road Rat by going to the Road Rat website.
I'm going to buy that because I'm interested in those two things.
Yeah. It's got lots of other good stuff in it as well, I hasten to add, but I'm just going to boast about my bits. And the third thing I've got to tell you is I've just, again, sounds boastful, I've just flown in and out of LAX, the popular international airport. But do you know what the X in LAX stands for?
Crossing. It's Los Angeles Crossing. Because Americans, they put X-ing on crossings and it really irritates me. It's so lazy.
They do, don't they?
Yeah, warning, zing.
Province of China, no, the X in LAX doesn't stand for anything at all. The airport was originally just called LA, and then internationally it was decided that all airports should have 3-letter codes, and so people running LAX went, fuck it, we'll put an X on the end.
It wasn't Elon Musk bought it and then decided to make it a bit worse?
No, mercifully not. Anyway, well, on that note, let's stop all this name-dropping and boasting and say thank you for listening. We'll do this all again on Friday with another Autosot, back with another show on Monday. Until then, goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
So you've enjoyed this podcast, but you've had a thought. Is there a way here today that you could show support? Well, you could join our Patreon, what wonders that it brings. Early shows and extra notes on that side of things. You could buy our merchandise, we've mugs and hats but still no ties. One day we will make those pies, but in the meantime, guys, hey guys, like and subscribe and maybe leave a nice review. Like and subscribe, we know you know just what to do. Like and subscribe, we don't want to take the piss. Like and subscribe, but we were told to ask for this. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Oh, squeaky one that, innit, mate? Yeah.